Welcome, everybody. I hope you can see me okay. I'm going to try to get to my comments here and see if hopefully, maybe we're live. I hope everybody's having a great day. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another live Q&A. It's been a few months since I've done one of these. Frankly, I was trying to do a video every single week on both of my YouTube channels, and it exhausted me, and I definitely got burned out a little bit with YouTube. I've got a new editor I'm trying out. You'll be seeing another new video from he and I coming up this next Tuesday. Every Tuesday or every other Tuesday at 1 o'clock, we're going to try to post a new video. I'm going to try to do a live video maybe once a month, maybe every couple of months. So without further ado, let's do some live Q&A. First, a quick story from court this morning. Yet again, I introduced myself to a new attorney that I've seen before, but I didn't know his name, and I try to learn people's names. And he said, "Oh yeah, I know you. When I first started out, I researched case law by using your website." So it just goes to show having a website, a web presence, doing some videos, it really helps and really helps people know you. And of course, hopefully know, like, and trust you. That's the whole idea here. So let's do some live Q&A. Hopefully, I got some questions ready. All right. So here's a question that somebody posted on one of our YouTube videos. The question goes, "I was arrested at a DUI checkpoint for refusing to show my driver's license or answer questions." Well, it's really not a question, it's more of a statement. So if you go onto that video about how to protect yourself from a DUI checkpoint, this individual was arrested and ended up actually having to plead out at court, or didn't have to, but chose to plead out at court. Now, this took place in California, if I remember correctly. And essentially, what he indicated really kind of hung him out to dry was refusing to provide his driver's license. They used that as sort of an active obstruction of the police. And so refusing to provide the driver's license was really what got him in trouble, not so much refusing to answer questions. You always have the right under the Fifth Amendment to not answer questions, period. You can remain silent. It's the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution. However, a lot of states, I'd say probably most states, require that if you're operating a motor vehicle on the highway, if law enforcement has a reason to encounter you, whether it's a traffic stop or a checkpoint, you normally are going to need to produce your driver's license, registration, and insurance. Those documents, not every state requires all three documents, but usually you need to at least produce your driver's license. Failure to do that could get you charged at least with operating without a valid license. And in this guy's case, he got charged with obstruction of justice. And I believe, according to his later comments, he ended up pleading out to obstruction of justice for not producing his license. So you can certainly flex your rights, but don't take it too far and get on the wrong side of the law. All right, let's see. One second here. Just going back to my other questions. I haven't done this in a little while, and I'm a little rusty. All right. So our next question is about checkpoints as well. So this is a good question. Is a DUI checkpoint considered consensual or being pulled over? It's a great question. And the answer is it is being pulled over. Okay. So when you think about police encounters with citizens, if a consensual encounter means the police literally just walked up to you, just like I could walk up to somebody on the street and start talking to them and they can walk away. But if they want to choose to talk with me, I can talk with them. Well, the police can do that as well. However, if the police use their special police powers to stop you or temporarily detain you, they have to have a proper justification to do so legally. That's the Fourth Amendment, right, against unreasonable searches and seizures. And so if the police don't do things properly, that's where you can have a Fourth Amendment violation or some kind of state law violation, perhaps. So a roadblock is a stop. The police are commanding you under the power of law and under their authority with their blue lights and their cones and barricades. They're commanding you to stop your vehicle, not something that I could do or you could do. So that's how you kind of think about it. If it's something a regular citizen could just walk up to somebody and talk to them, that's a consensual encounter. If the police are using the power of their office to stop you in some way, then that's a stop. Now, roadblocks are kind of a funky little area of law because they're not a stop based on what we normally look for, which is called reasonable articulable suspicion. They're a stop based on just stopping everybody or every third car or something that comes down the road. There's a whole body of law, or case law really, about how roadblocks are conducted. And the Supreme Court has said they're okay as long as they're essentially neutral. There's published criteria ahead of time from the police about how they're going to be done, that they actually follow the rules that they set out for themselves, things like that. So if you have a roadblock case, if you're actually stopped in a roadblock, it's definitely a case that's ripe to argue about the stop, because it is a stop, and it's the Commonwealth's burden or the government's burden to prove that it was a good stop. Okay, they have to prove it. It's not something we have to prove that it was a bad one. They have to prove that they did it right. All right, we got some comments here. So let's see. We have Tim says, have you heard of people? Let me hang on, Tim. Let me remove this logo here. Well, I don't know that I can. Yeah, there we go. All right. All right. So Tim says, have you heard of people being pulled over by police, being caught with less than an ounce of weed in their possession? Police let them go with no ticket, and then the police continues getting a search warrant for their home. This is in Chesterfield. Huh. So he sounds like interesting. So it sounds like maybe in Chesterfield, I'm guessing Tim has heard of this since he's asking. The police are, encountering someone, finding a tiny bit of weed, just kind of calling it a day, not worrying about it, but then getting a search warrant to go to the house to look for more weed. Honestly, Tim, I haven't heard of this happening. I trust you if you have. I'm not surprised. When marijuana has certainly undergone crazy amounts of changes in Virginia in just the past 2 years. So last July 1, it was decriminalized. So it changed from a misdemeanor where you could go to jail, and people went to jail for even like second offense marijuana possession. It changed from a misdemeanor to a civil violation, which is a $25 ticket. You could literally sit on the courthouse steps, smoke a joint, get a $25 ticket, go in and take care of your $25 ticket, come back out, smoke another joint, and get another $25 ticket. That was all they could do to you. And so I'm not surprised that, frankly, the police have time on their hands because they're not looking for marijuana anymore. They can't really, just simple possession. I'm not surprised if they're trying to look for the bigger fish, like maybe here. Maybe they're thinking they have some reason to believe there's distribution going on. Um, I don't see why they would give you grounds for a search warrant if all you have is simple possession on the side of the road, unless there's some other factors they could articulate to try to argue that maybe there was possession with intent to distribute or something like that. So I definitely haven't heard of it. I imagine we're going to be seeing more of that. Marijuana is kind of the Wild West right now. It's going to be interesting to see what happens as more people start, growing marijuana, possessing marijuana legally after July 1st, things like that. I think the police are going to find their little areas where they can try to prosecute, try to arrest people and charge people with crimes. Because frankly, ticket numbers are down, case numbers are down, and frankly, police are going to need to try to justify their crazy budgets. If they're not out, writing tickets and bringing cases to court, I don't know how the police chiefs and sheriffs are going to justify having all these guys on the road. And maybe some of them will shrink their departments a little bit, but I bet you they're going to find other things to try to enforce and prosecute. Time will tell. We'll see what happens. All right. Let's see. We got another. All right. So on the marijuana topic, we have a question from Ticola. With all these new taxes, it's just going to hurt minorities in low-income areas because only white hipsters will be able to afford it. It's a really good perspective. That's on my marijuana video where I talk about, that legalization is coming in just less than a month now. July 1, you can legally possess, an adult, 21 or older, can legally possess no more than 1 ounce of marijuana. You can use it, you can smoke it, just not in public, not while you're in a vehicle. So there's quite a few rules and regulations. But basically, what's going to happen is once the distribution centers get all set up here in a couple of years, and people can sell it legally, you can go to like probably Tobacco Hut is probably going to be selling marijuana. It would be my guess. It would be tobacco huts everywhere around here in Spotsylvania. I would guess places like that are going to be places where you can eventually buy it, and the government is going to tax the snot out of it. And so people who are going to want to try to avoid those taxes, they're going to be the ones who are going to be charged with probably importing marijuana, which I talk about in that video. Essentially, importing marijuana into Virginia is a crime. So going over to DC or Maryland and buying yourself some marijuana and bringing it in, that's a crime still. And that's actually a new crime on July 1. So you can possess it in Virginia. You just can't bring it into Virginia. So you got to get it some other way. So it's kind of a tricky situation. And I agree, it's certainly going to be kind of pressure on low-income people, and they're going to probably look for cheaper ways to get marijuana. All right, looks like we had another question here that I might have missed. All right, so Flushy says, what about after this July 1. If you can have an ounce, then what would be the grounds for getting a search warrant even though you're under the legal limit? I agree, and that's what I was trying to say about the search warrant question from Tim. I don't see right now why they could get a search warrant anyway, unless there's some reason they can articulate that maybe there was something more going on than just simple possession of marijuana. Because just, simple possession of marijuana is a civil offense, and that really shouldn't be grounds to search your home, unless maybe they saw something that they thought indicated that you were dealing drugs. One of the classic things you see with the police is they will say, in my training and experience, this indicates that such and such is going on. And so they kind of rely on, my vast training and experience means that I know what's up in this situation. And sometimes they do. Sometimes they've seen this thing, they've seen this tune many times before. They know how it goes and they know what's up. Sometimes it may just be more of a hunch. So certainly I don't see why, especially after July 1, if all they find is less than an ounce of marijuana, that is 100% legal, assuming you're over 21, you're not using it while driving, you're not impaired while driving, all those stipulations. Keep in mind, July 1, you can smoke marijuana if you're an adult, but you still cannot be under the influence of anything while you're driving. That's a major no-no. I got to get a sip of water here. All right. Thank you for the questions so far. Feel free to fire away, and please please share this. It really helps if you share this on Facebook or on Twitter, places like that. I don't know. I'm not an Instagram person. I guess you could share it there. I don't know. I'm apparently an old fuddy-duddy at this point. All right. So this is a question or statement Frank posted on my video about what to do when the police come to your door. I have a great video you should check out on what to do when the police come to your door. And Frank points out, very accurate comment, nothing you say will be used to assist you in a court of law, so don't. It's a great way of putting it. It's kind of the inverse of Miranda. In Miranda rights, they tell you, anything you say can and will be used against you. And Frank points out, nothing you say will be used to assist you. So it's the corollary there, the inverse. And Frank's got a very good point. Just don't say things. If you don't say things, they can't use it against you. Okay, and that goes back to the original question we started out with about the gentleman who was arrested for refusing to answer questions at a checkpoint. You definitely do not have to answer questions. Okay, don't talk to the police. The best advice you've got is don't talk to the police. All right, let's see if we missed any comments. No so far. And then we have JD commented on my DUI checkpoint video. Your state doesn't require proof of insurance. So he's asking about that. Virginia is a little bit tricky. In Virginia, we actually don't require that you have insurance at all on your automobile. A lot of people don't realize that. Virginia does not require automobile insurance. This is one good reason why you need to make sure you have good limits on your insurance for liability, but also for uninsured motor vehicles, because Virginia does not require automobile insurance, period. The law requires you either have automobile insurance or you pay what they call an uninsured motorist fee, which is $500. And so you have to pay a fee or have insurance. Virginia law doesn't actually require, like if you're pulled over by a police officer for speeding, they don't ask you for proof of insurance. They ask you for your license and your registration. That's what Virginia law requires you to produce to the police on a normal traffic stop. Then if there's an accident involved, that's when the register or the proof of insurance is important. And that's when the law says you do have to provide proof of insurance if there's an accident going on. But your normal traffic stop, you're actually not required to be insured. You're required to be either insured or pay the fee. And all you need to produce really is your license and registration. So I should have had this ready for this video. I have these little envelopes that we passed out to people before, to clients, where you got a little slot to keep all your important documents. Of course, you have your license in your wallet or something, so you always have that with you. But in your vehicle, you have your registration card, your proof of insurance, and your inspection receipt. So you have all those 3 documents ready to go. So if you're ever asked and pulled over on the side of the road, you can just hand the officer the whole thing. And he may say, oh, can you take it out for me? And then you can do that. But at least you've got all your current up-to-date documents ready to roll anytime you need them for the police. Because I can't even tell you how many times I've been watching a DUI video, for example, for a client, and how many times basically fumbling with their license and registration is one reason they point to try to prove somebody was impaired. But I don't know about you guys. My glove box is really tidy, but I know most people's aren't. Most people are fumbling through because they've got 10 different registrations from all these different years and all these old insurance cards and all this paperwork and bills and mail and parking tickets, and they can't find the documents. It's not because they're drunk, it's because their car's a shambles and it's a mess. So keep everything tidy and you can hand it to the officer whenever you need to. All right, we got a couple more comments. Let's go here. Um, So, Chrissy J says the DMV suspended my license for not having car insurance. Cost me $1,200 to get it back. I don't know if that's Virginia DMV or not, but so what? Here's what happens. Virginia DMV, if they think you don't have insurance, what they do is they send you a notification, send you a letter saying prove you had insurance on XYZ vehicle on such and such a date. Sometimes they actually just do it randomly. It's sort of an audit. And so they just kind of send you a random notice. I had a client the other day who had that happen to them. If you can prove that you did have insurance on that day, you just send them your policy information or have your insurance company do that, you're fine. If you don't prove that you had insurance, and of course DMV knows you haven't paid the uninsured motorist fee, that's when you have trouble. Okay, so that's the problem. If you're required to either have insurance or pay the fee, and you can't do the fee in arrears. So you can't be driving along without doing either, and then pay the fee and be okay. You got to do it at the beginning, unfortunately. All right, and then let's see, what else do we have? And Tim Todero says, yeah, so he says exactly what I was talking about. So you need to have insurance or proof that you have enough assets over a certain amount. So basically, you have insurance or pay the motorist fee. That's just the county that it was in. So I think we are just about out of questions. If anybody has any final questions, I'm happy to answer them, but we're coming up here on about 17 minutes, which I think is pretty good. Looks like maybe there's another comment, and I'm happy to cover that. I think that's about it. So if anybody else has any other questions, feel free to chime in. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed on YouTube. It really helps us out a whole lot. I do appreciate doing these. And like I said, we've got another good video coming out for you next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. I'm going to try to get back onto a every other Tuesday posting schedule. So we'll try to have a new video for you every other Tuesday right here at Andrew Flushy. And that's all we got for today. I appreciate everybody coming by and hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Take care. Oh, wait, I got one more question. I'm going to answer it because I got a minute. Andy Russ says, I live in Virginia. Why don't CPS get a warrant to go inside a home? Andy, I got no idea. This is one of those good questions to stump the lawyer with. Um, I, I don't think CPS can't come in your home without a warrant. Basically, nobody can come in your home without a warrant unless they have some, there's exceptions to the warrant requirement. But basically the Fourth Amendment has been gutted over the couple hundred years of our country's existence, and so basically there's all sorts of exceptions. So for some kind of emergency exception, perhaps they might could come in. If, let's say, the police come to your house and they hear somebody screaming for help from inside, they could come in without a warrant. But I don't think CPS could just come blazing on in without a warrant unless they had some kind of exception that I'm frankly not thinking of right now. If they had some kind of really credible, this thing, if they had a credible complaint that there was something going on and hurt the children in the house, then they would just get a warrant and they could come on in. So, yeah, and Andy, he commented here. He says, "Oh, maybe a welfare check." Interestingly enough, there's a recent case from the Supreme Court about a week ago that basically limits the police ability to do welfare checks. They went in that case. Can't remember the site for the case, but they went in and took somebody's guns, basically claiming they were trying to protect him from himself or protect him from hurting other people. And the Supreme Court said you cannot do that. Basically, they needed a warrant to go into the home. So I think the welfare check exception, I think, has been severely curtailed. I haven't had time to read the case yet, but I actually had a recent DUI case where they were claiming that they were going to be allowed to go into the client's home because of the welfare check, and we ended up working that case out on other grounds. But I think a welfare check is not going to get the police very far anymore, given the new case that just came out from the United States Supreme Court. And well, Flushy says they can do a wellness check. So maybe I'm learning something today. But I think it'll be interesting to see what happens, especially in light of that new case from the Supreme Court, like I was talking about. And then let's see, there was another one. Oh, Felicia had a good question. So, what if you are stopped for no insurance, but you can get on your phone that day and get approved? It's a really good question. And I won't say that I've had clients that do this. It's a really good question. It's a really good question. The key question is, do you have insurance on the day in question? And if your insurance card just says, you have a ticket from June 8th saying you didn't have insurance today, and your insurance says it was effective on June 8th, I would say you're not guilty. So it's a really interesting question. If you could get insurance right away, maybe you would be not guilty technically. But the key thing with insurance, though, is the insurance company would probably know that the bigger point is not to worry about getting a ticket; it's to worry about actually getting into an accident. Because if you have even just a minor vehicle accident these days, a vehicle is going to cost you 20 or 30 grand to replace, but at least but a life is irreplaceable, and medical bills can run up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you don't have insurance, you're taking a lot of risk on your own hands that most people can't afford to do. So it's really risky to drive without insurance. Do not do it. And if you have the minimum state limits, you should definitely up those. Everybody should have at least 100, 300 limits. So 100,000 per individual, 300,000 per occurrence. So you should definitely check your policy limits to make sure they're not just the minimums, because those minimums will be exhausted, especially if somebody has to be care flighted out, or if you have multiple vehicles involved in a crash, you could very quickly find yourself on the hook for problems. All right, folks, I think that's going to be about it. I see the questions have died down. I'm running out of voice here. I really appreciate everybody coming by, and I appreciate everybody's support. Andy says, thank you. I just found out about you. Love your work. I appreciate it, Andy. We really do appreciate your support. And please, like I said, subscribe to the channel. Please share the channel. And, we're trying to help educate people, and I'm here for you if I can help you in the future. I defend traffic and DUIs all around the Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania, Stafford area. If we can't help you with something, I'm happy to try to help refer you to somebody who can, and we're happy to help. Hope everybody has a great day. And like I said, please subscribe, please share all this, and have a great day, guys.